Welcome to Wednesday for your Pagan Perspective. I'm your host, Eric, and this week's topic is prayer. God grant me the strength to change the things I can, accept the things I cannot, and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. Now, lots of you have heard this prayer, and lots of you have probably tried to repeat this prayer, or have repeated this prayer plenty of times in your life. Now, I looked it up, and because I know what prayer is, and I grew up in a faith that practices prayer an awful lot, but I've never really understood the point in the way that it was always portrayed to me. Now, the way I understand prayer is you sit down and you take a moment and you talk to God and ask Him for things and thank Him for things, and if you're going for one God, that's, go for it. But prayer as a matter of ritual is a little bit different. I do see a lot of the things that I do in my personal practice with setting space and calling the drakes and invoking the god and goddess for whatever ritual I'm doing. I usually do both. I call the drakes of north, south, east, and west, similarly to the way that Wiccans call corners. I then call on a god that I find fitting for the intent of my ritual, and then a goddess as well. Not always from the same pantheon. If my wife and I are practicing together, she'll call a Druidic Celtic god or goddess, and then I will call a Norse god or goddess. I find that to be similar to prayer. As for the kneeling down at the foot of my bed and, clasping my hands, closing my eyes, and praying to the powers that be for guidance and assistance, I don't do it that way. But I would consider the fact that I probably would consider it that I pray when I talk to the gods. I don't do it in any sort of ritualistic fashion. I will occasionally get what you might consider an earworm. Thought pops into my head and refuses to leave, or a concept comes to mind and it becomes the focus of that time, and I'll ask about it, and I'll say, is this, what do you need, what do you mean? I'm listening. And sometimes I'll just listen, sometimes I'll ask for guidance. I don't make it any sort of ritual, but I do feel that everybody has the ability to talk to their gods and their goddesses, and I do it every day. My spirituality is a part of my everyday life and doesn't require all of the amenities that you would need for casting circle or setting space, as it were. I don't personally believe that it's absolutely necessary. It does help, but it's not necessary on a daily basis. I don't feel the need to set aside time to pray, because I do it all day throughout the course of the day whenever I feel it necessary. I can do it at work if I'm driving. I can do it at home if I'm watching TV. Granted, I won't be paying attention while I'm talking to the gods, but it's something that, just like when you're hanging out with your friends and talking to them, you can stop what you're doing and go, oh, hey, I have a question. This is my question. And then go back to what you were doing. If you get a response, fantastic. I wouldn't say that I often get a clear response, but I always get a response of some sort. As I said before, setting space and ritual and casting a circle, if that's what you do, I feel all of those are parts of prayer, or all of those are a form of prayer. All the ritual things that we do, I see as a type of praying, because you're calling out to those entities, you're calling out to those gods and goddesses and those energies, and you're asking them to join you. That's a little more in-depth prayer than, say, sitting down and asking the gods to answer a question or to help you solve a problem. You're actually asking them to come and join you for your ritual. So I do see that I do see all of those things as types of prayers. The reasons we pray are honestly a little bit selfish at times, usually when we're praying for ourselves. But they can also be extraordinarily altruistic in the idea that sometimes we pray for other people, and for no benefit of our own, we pray for the benefit of others. Now, that's one thing that I am willing to kind of go against my personal feelings of don't do anything for anyone else, against their will, not necessarily against their will, but without them knowing. I don't feel that it's a terrible idea to pray for someone or to ask good things for someone else, so long as you're not doing anything to interfere with them. And I don't think that prayer, or the understanding of yourself to the gods, if you go out and ask, can you help this guy out? He's having a tough time. I know there's nothing I can do for him, but can you do something? Will you do something? But other than that, like I said, prayer happens in all ritual, whether we understand it that way or not. That's my opinion. But I think it's a useful tool. I do think that it works. But this is really all I have. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave comments, rate, responses, and until next time, Odin be with you. I totally forgot to record this part before, so I'm going to do it here at my computer. Do we pray to God, Goddess, etc., spirits, ancestors, land? If so, do we do it in our practice? Well, yeah, I do it in my practice. I pray to the gods, I pray to the goddesses, whichever one I think is going to be most beneficial to me, which I'm a little selfish that way. Do I give offerings? And, well, sometimes, if I feel it's necessary. If I feel I'm asking a big favor, I'll give offerings. Usually some sort of incense or burnt offering. Sometimes food. I like food. Anyway, yeah. So sorry about taking this much time. See you guys later.